Cool. So thank you all for being here with us today, and by us I mean me, as we share our meta story about building an IDP while operating our entire engineering organization on that very same IDP. So I'm Laurén. Andrew was supposed to join me today, but thanks to a series of unfortunate events, it's just me holding it down. But for some context, Andrew is the engineering manager for Backstage and Portal Platform Engineering at Spotify, and I'm the engineering manager for the observability team at Spotify. So for a quick walk down memory lane, the two of us go way back. Andrew and I started off as senior engineer peers on the observability team together. Then we became EM peers in different orgs. Then Andrew moved to data platform, and then eventually to this SRE observability infra space in a completely new organization. That's the one that built Portal and Backstage open source for the world beyond Spotify. So why would we put this on a slide? To emphasize that truly nothing matters more than relationships and trust. What we're going to share with you all today, no matter how great of an architecture diagram, could not have come together if we didn't catalyze a partnership between our respective teams. So the concept of an internal developer to Portal, or an IDP, is about conquering fragmentation, reducing cognitive overload, and minimizing operational risk as you scale modern systems. At Spotify, we've been running our business with Backstage at the very heart of our developer experience for years. This history has yielded many successes, even more failures, and as I stand here today, an engineering culture that is collaborative and efficient, offering our engineers more information at their fingertips by the day that they need to do their jobs well. We're here today to share just one of the success stories in boosting efficiency, achieving standardization, and running through brick walls, all in the name of getting things done and making our engineers happier. You'll leave here today with a quantified success story in platformization, defragmentation, and standardization, all with some awesome open source tech at the very core. So let's set the stage. Picture a brand new product in a very young organization where the rubber was meeting the road fast, and if you didn't scale up an infra team proactively, a lot of operational risk was looming. This is a classic storyline. At Spotify, we have numerous strategies to conquer these challenges, all of which reduce fragmentation from the jump, reduce cognitive load on your engineers so that they preserve focus on actually building things, and in return, operational risk is managed in a healthy way. So when Andrew joined the Backstage organization, they were making the shift to building a public-facing SaaS flavor of Backstage. This was a massively different business objective than simply operating Backstage to make Spotify itself work, or even supporting the open source project. Having been at Spotify for almost 5 years at the time, admittedly, nothing had ever felt truly greenfield until this moment for him. So he was offered a challenge to build out an infra team and function to ensure that as our IDP sells, it also can scale. As someone with an SRE background and someone who loves hiring and bootstrapping teams, he was pretty excited about an opportunity to do this. And that said, no matter what, it's always an elegant puzzle to go from 0 to 1. So before crafting the team and getting to know his new reports, it was first important for him to be a sponge. And there were numerous learning curves involved for him. He was not used to working in the B2B space or even an organization that is external facing. His entire time at Spotify was internal platforms focused, so he had to dust off the consulting background that he had and lean in with critical functions like sales, customer success, marketing, and partnerships as core stakeholders alongside product and engineering. What were the biggest challenges and pain points he was hearing from this diverse set of stakeholders? What were the P0s, 1s, and 2s? And what was going to be his strategy to make folks feel heard? After all, they'd been operating without an infra team for some time, and a pile of debt had been accrued. Once he knew it needed to be solved most imminently, it was time to roll up his sleeves and play as an IC for a while alongside this small team, all while growing it into a full-fledged infra team. So let's get technical. What was a burning P0 that fell on the team's plate? Observability. So metrics, alerting, service levels, all pies in the sky for this team. On the one hand, wow, this was one of those engineering greenfield moments. There were no mistakes to recover from, only our own failures to learn from and eventually celebrate. On the other hand, that was pretty daunting. As the earliest testers and triers of the IDP were in the product on a daily basis, they had very little operational data to ensure they were having a positive experience. Safe to say this encouraged them to put a little pep in our step and accelerate development here. So numerous options presented themselves. Functions like our own completely isolated business. There were benefits here, especially from the perspective of building something exactly the way we wanted it. But metaphorically speaking, the candy shop of pre-existing platform offerings that Spotify had already mastered were available. And in this arena, they largely were already exactly what they wanted. Highly available, scaled to the heavens, OTel and Prometheus native. So this is where our partnership came into play. Andrew and I work in completely different organizations in a pretty large business. The last hurdle that remained was strictly organizational and strategic, and we came together and reminded ourselves and our senior leadership of our most important guiding principles. Despite a unique tech stack relative to the golden technologies that keep the Spotify consumer platforms operating around the clock, we didn't need to build from scratch. We already had a world-class set of standardized platforms at our disposal. And yeah, you guessed it, Backstage was a single pane of glass and standardized commonplace across our organizations. So the solution was simple: reuse what's proven. This mindset not only accelerated delivery, but helped maintain consistency and reliability from day one. So these principles became the foundation for how we approached further utilizing our observability platform. First, control the chaos. We built guardrails and not gates for people. We enable teams to take advantage of the infrastructure the observability org supports without reinventing the wheel and needing to maintain this infrastructure themselves. Next, consistency. We want developers to have a unified developer experience, a shared standard language, and reusable tooling across all domains and products. And finally, standardized golden technologies. We focused on curating golden paths rather than encouraging endless customization, meeting people at where they are and being able to meet their needs so they don't have to build and deploy their own things and customize them. So these ideas sound simple, but they were transformative for both engineering culture and velocity. So here's what we ended up with. The fun of it all is that running a B2B business is nothing at all like running Spotify with a consumer business. Every customer is afforded a strict tenant isolation, so the scaling patterns are quite different. Given the tenant isolation, we had to get smart about two things. Anonymizing operational data. Spotify already does a nice job of preventing PII and observability data, so we got this out of the box. And two, shipping our metrics inside the Spotify perimeter so that we could leverage the world-class tooling that our observability team already operates, all while maintaining a SOC 2 compliant posture and maintaining tenant isolation. So this diagram shows our end-to-end observability pipeline and how telemetry flows from our IDP into Spotify's infrastructure, all of which is managed and maintained via the very same IDP that we are ensuring the high availability of. So each IDP instance admits logs, metrics, and eventually traces. That's something we're still working on. Data is sent to the OpenTelemetry collectors via OTLP push or Prometheus scrapes. The collector exports data to Google PubSub, bringing it into Spotify's perimeter. So PubSub is acting as a transport layer here. It defines the secure perimeter and decouples data producers from consumers. The metrics then flow into Victoria Metrics, and then the architecture is modular and built entirely on open standards. So this way we can have consistent observability across all environments, and it's very scalable and easy to extend. So the beauty of what we've adopted is that it's tech agnostic. Our observability stack scales from Spotify's internal services to our IDP. Different teams use different tech stacks, and that's fine. Our standards ensure observability can work the same way everywhere. And it's less about specific tools and more about shared principles, consistent signals, and reliable outcomes. So now that the stack's in place, let's see what kind of impact it's had on speed, cost, and happiness for our developers. Ultimately, by unlocking the toolbox in an organization, impact came quickly and naturally. MTTR measurably was reduced, rendering happier engineers and happier customers. And most importantly, delivery velocity increased. The teams were able to ship faster, armed with real, reliable signals. When we say speed and happiness, this is what we mean. Engineers are happier when their tools just work and they can trust that their changes are secure. And in perpetuity, we're now able to ship features far more confidently. So this is the heart of it. We dog food everything. By running our IDP utilizing standard internal infrastructure, we gain empathy for our users because we are our users. Sharing tools sharpens empathy, common standards reduces MTTR, and unified feedback loops improve both platform and product. And at this point in our journey, we realized the biggest hurdle wasn't technology, it was just hesitation. So our message to ourselves and you is to seriously just don't overthink it. The hardest part is getting started. You'll never have the answers before you begin, but build incrementally and reuse what works and iterate. And if you have folks that you've worked with before, partner with them and figure out what you can do together. So looking ahead, there's still plenty to do. Now that Andrew's team have alerts configured, they're focusing on fine-tuning them to cut the noise. There's been a bit of adjustments that have needed to happen since we've kind of set all this up. On the observability side, we plan to enable end-to-end tracing for them in the near future. We're also working on auto-instrumentation with smarter sampling guardrails and exploring anomaly detection and AI-assisted triage for incidents. Each of these steps moves us closer to truly intelligent, proactive observability, so we solve things before you even wake up from the page. Thanks to the partnership we built, the Portal Infra team will be among the first adopters of all of our new solutions across the business, providing valuable feedback and continuing to be a close collaborator as we evolve together. So yeah, thanks for joining us, and by us I mean me, and for being part of this broader conversation about how platform engineering can drive culture and scale. Happy to dive deeper on any of these stories. We actually have a bunch of time, so we can do questions if you want to talk about how you're applying IDP principles in new orgs. And then we also have a booth 1143 in the main section downstairs that I think will open tomorrow, and then we'll be there for the rest of the week. So yeah, thanks.
Awesome, thanks, Lauren. So we do have a little bit of time for questions. Would anyone like to ask a question? And I will run over with the microphone. No questions for Lauren? Oh, there's one.
Okay. Do you have any stories? I think you said there's other examples. Do you have any stories of startups or the small developer workshops that have moved, maybe not from an IDP from scratch, but have built their own existing IDP and then want to move to something greater?
Built their own IDP. Not exactly. I mean, this was kind of like focused on the IDP internally kind of becoming a SaaS product and then being able to like observe that with our tools in-house. So I mean, kind of the takeaway is like, you know, if you have open standards, you can kind of set them up for anything like that. So I mean, if that's kind of the question, like being able to utilize the open standards for your own in-house IDP could also totally work, but I'm not sure if I misheard the question.
Thank you. Anyone else got a question? Hello.
What type of metrics are you trying to pull off the IDP to kind of inform where it needs to go next? Like what are kind of the key values that you're looking at to inform what else you need to build?
Yeah, so I kind of wish Andrew was here because that's like his side of everything. But from what I can tell, right now, kind of the issue they're having is their alerts are too sensitive, I would say. And they've kind of set up things for each of their portal instances to kind of see kind of basic metrics, I would say. Like they have like CPU, memory, kind of basic stuff set up right now. I don't have like too many details on exactly what his team is looking at, but I do know that like the biggest challenge right now is they kind of configured things out of the box, and now it's just kind of like adjusting them to see what reflects like what their customers are like feedback is to them. Part of the problem they were having too is like folks were kind of coming to them with issues that they weren't able to proactively detect. So the nice thing about setting this up is like they'll proactively see these things first before their customers even notice.
Nice. Any other questions? Oh, back to the front.
Yeah, so I just want to know how y'all came to the decision to use Victoria metrics instead of like any other like metrics tool.
Yeah. So internally we had our own time series database for a long time that was built by a different team like many years ago before we were deploying things with Kubernetes. Essentially, it just couldn't scale anymore. Like basically once there were instances kind of spinning up all the time, the cardinality got way too big and things were falling over. It was pretty slow. So we tried out a few different vendors, honestly. VM was kind of the one that worked best for us. We have a pretty good working relationship with them. So yeah, so far so good. I mean, it scales really well. It can handle the cardinality, and they have a lot of features that kind of help us to tweak things and like disable things that we didn't have before. So.
Any other questions? No, in which case, thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.